So, now I've worked it up a little bit. I wanted to show it to you again, give you a few ideas on how to perhaps tighten a drawing up like this. Point a few things out to you. So, for me, to tighten, you got to think about the way that you're able to put pressure on certain tools. Like I'll use the charcoal pencil because it'll allow me to push the charcoal exactly where I need it. It's easy to control. It's got a wooden handle. I sharpen it up. When you rub it, in fact, as you rub it, it actually gives you a point the more you use it. Now, if you look at sections like this, there's a really rich dark line down here. I'm very conscious of reflection. It's a reflected surface, which you'll see in the photograph that I sent you, and the reflection's actually going to go in the opposite direction that appears here. So if the form is going that way, its reflection will go that way. I've got a deep edge around the edge of the little jar, the brush jar. I'm going to go over the top of that now a little bit with a thin hatch line through the bottom half of it. Now, something must have got on my paper right there. If you see that, you have to be very careful. It's picking up a little bit extra of the charcoal that I don't necessarily want. And in fact, right here, that paper must have caught a little glue and it actually tore. So that's making working over that a little bit difficult. This is just sketchbook paper, not really good paper. If I was gonna make a really beautiful drawing in charcoal, I'd use, say, Fabriano 140-pound hot press watercolor paper. It's a smooth surface. 140 pound means that it's had 140 pounds of weight on it when it dried, and it gives it a nice even grade to it. There's no tooth. Some papers have a tooth. This has none. There's nothing here as far as the tooth goes to grab the material. And I can move it a lot. I'm using my finger now instead of wearing gloves. And maybe I want to accentuate the fact that this edge is soft, not hard. And not so dark. I can gather up a reflected light underneath it. I can gather reflected light here if I wish to. Just by using my fingertip. Anytime you see a shadow, take it to its start and then find its completion. In other words, they all come from one specific spot. Like this one, the shadow right here is attached to the edge of the lip on top of that jar. I just grabbed a little bit of darkness from there and I'll move it here. If I want to give the impression of wood grain, I might take the edge of my tool and I know, here's the edge of my floor. So the planks have been put in parallel to the edge of the floor. So I'll make a mark like that. I'll also realize that some of them are And if you get a dark spot when you use your eraser, just keep erasing. Eventually you'll go back to white. You just have to take it off. There's some indentations on the surface of the ball, so I'm going to put them in. But if it casts a shadow and creates a little, the dent casts a shadow, more than likely the angle that it's at is going to leave a bit of a highlight. There's even a seam here. Seems a little wide, but that doesn't matter because I can go back in. I'll pick a tool that I can control. I pick the pencil and I'll tighten that little line up. And that's how I'd go about maybe, you know, refining a drawing like this. If I spent a lot more time on it, I could make it really, really tight. But I wanted to show you how you can take, you know, relative chaos and turn it into a bit of control just by working over the top of something, going back into it, staying focused on its detail, on its information.